Hello guys, Termex here. Today I want to talk about the downfall of New World, or more specifically why New World, in my eyes, is officially dead. Now this is coming from somebody who has played New World since day one. At first I thought New World was stupid. My friend got the early access, I thought, wow, this is just another shit MMO. But I ended up playing it, I ended up buying it and playing it since day one. Playing it for so long, I'm finally starting to see that it's finally time. There comes a time where you notice where a game is not going to recover, and in my humbled opinion, I feel like New World has finally hit that brick wall, and I want to talk about why that happened today and maybe get some of the community feedback from you guys on the core issues on why you think New World did not succeed. But quickly, I want to point out the partner for the channel, which is Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming provides a website that allows you to buy the games you love at the prices you love. Down below, you'll find a link in the description. I get a small kickback from all your purchases. I use them all the time to buy games a lot cheaper on PC, but they also have things available for Xbox and PlayStation. If you want to finally try out a new game that your friends keep begging you to buy, but you don't want to cough up the actual $60 price, go check out Instant Gaming. They have your back. Link is in the description below. But getting into New World, coming from somebody who has literally played one build the whole time I've played New World, and I've played bow. I love bow. I gravitated towards the bow as it was my preferred way of playing the game. And honestly, I think it was one of the best choices I accidentally made. Bow is just very catered to in the PvP aspect, and it has been for a very long time. Though in recent seasons, I feel like bow has significantly fallen off when it comes to war content, but in PvP content, the bow has pretty much always been a powerhouse. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we haven't seen the short end of the stick. We've had many times back in the days where Great Axe would lunge into you and stick to you like a Velcro, and you had the hatchet that was absolutely insane, undying bugs, bugged out war, glitching into the enemy forts, winning the war within 20 seconds. A lot of bugs in New World. I could go over every bug in New World that caused it to die, and honestly, bugs are repairable. Bugs are repairable when done right, and New World took some steps to better the bugs that they had in the past and kind of quote-unquote reward players for said bug. When there was crafting bugs, they tried their best to actually get items back to players that deserved it, because at the time, certain roles were not within the crafting loot pool. PvE content. A lot of bugs happen in PvE content. They tried their best to give players caches when they were not rewarded them when they were supposed to. And when it came to PvP players, go fuck yourself. And that is the main reason New World is in the current state it is. It's not because the PvE dungeons aren't glorious and beautiful, because they 100% are. It's not because the map is small. It's not because there's no missions to do, because there's tons of that, and the map is great. The mounts are great. They implemented a fantastic mount system, even though it took them quite a while to translate it into OPR. They are still really well implemented in a game where I argued you don't need mounts. But when it comes to PvP, and the combat in New World, I will still die on this hill, is the best PvP combat I have ever seen in a MMO. I love how simple, surface level the PvP combat in New World is, but how complicated and advanced it can be when you master it. I really enjoy the type of games where it's simple to start, but very, very hard to master certain things, and it shows. There is still people that have thousands of hours with certain builds, and if you put them in a new gear set, it looks like it's their first day playing. And I love seeing that type of interaction within MMOs, because it really shows the higher skilled players. But when it comes to New World, it seems like the skill gap is getting smaller and smaller, and I don't really know why. It seems like they are trying to complement all players, and they have said this on dev streams as well, saying they want to give PvE players some content and PvP players some content to please both sides. But the true reality of it is, PvP players have been getting abandoned for almost a year now. PvP is in a very boring state where New World doesn't really know how to recover from it. 3v3 is basically dead now because you made the rewards so bad that nobody wants to play 3v3, and quite frankly, 3v3 can get very boring when your team doesn't have a healer and you're going against a 3-stack with a healer. Very, very annoying. But part of that is due to the fact that New World does not have cross-server yet for 3v3, so if you're on a dead server or if you're on a sweaty server, because there's no in-between in New World, there's no casual servers anymore, there's dead and there's sweats, there's no in-between, you're going to either find nobody and never get into a match, or you're just going to go against the top players that buy gold every other weekend, and you're not going to compete with them unless you have your own 3-stack yourself, and even then, they probably have better gear than you. But Termex, what about OPR? OPR is still fun, OPR has cross servers, and yes, it does, but the game has been out for 3 years now, and it is the only OPR map to exist. We've never expanded upon it, we've never released a new one, we never put events with an OPR, or just a new layout. Matter of fact, they made the OPR map smaller better over the years, not allowing players to go on certain rocks, certain bushes, and just condensing it into a 3-lane Call of Duty style PvP, which I'm not comparing it to Call of Duty on a gameplay sense, but simply Call of Duty is very synonymous for having 3 lanes when it comes to their PvP maps, but that was back in the old days. Maybe I'm old, but if you get the reference, you get the reference. And now everybody that is playing New World right now is either war loggers, people just playing it off of copium, and I have a lot of friends that are in the same states where they are staying for the community more than the actual game itself. But that is how MMOs are. MMOs thrive off of community, and building the community is the foundation to keeping a MMO alive. And when New World is not actively promoting a healthy growth or a place for growth to be had within the New World community, it makes it very, very hard for players to want to stay. So when you have OPR, which is very boring and stale, it's the same thing over and over. 3v3, it's either sweats or not even available to play right now. Open world is very rare these days to find 1v1s while gathering resources because, well, nobody's playing or just simply buying them off the markets. And then you go over into the influence races, which can be inherently fun, but 9 times out of 10, one company is overtaking the other, and if that's not the case, one color is paying off another color to help them overpower the main color that's dominating your server, and that is very annoying. Servers are just ran by 1 or 2 companies in a mutual agreement in order to keep the peace and keep the gold flow for both sides. What do they do with the gold? Either maintain power or sell it on these websites and just get free cash flow for the people that are coping and staying on New World, the people that are still playing New World that are buying gold at a very, very cheap price. And in reality, that is the main player base right now. New World devs, I don't know if they know this, but 90% of your players right now are simply war loggers or gold sellers. Maybe not bots anymore. The game's kind of down there for bots to be there. But I could almost assure you that all the gold sellers are still making bank, maybe even more so, now that gold is so cheap and players are still wanting it. For a normal person to come into New World and want to play New World, if you want to get into the war, you better join a company that has enough people to even log on for a war. You better have enough gear to go to that war, and if you don't have the gear, you need to get gold. But how do you make gold? Well, really can't when the market is dead. You're gonna slave away for hours of your life to make a small amount of gold that you can simply buy for 20 to 30 bucks on a random website, and then you can get your gear. And that is the sad truth of New World right now. Very, 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 very few people are actually farming resources and selling it for gold. But I don't want to go too much off on the tangent of gold buying and gold selling in New World. It is a issue, but it's not the main issue on why people leave. The PvP and PvP players feeling abandoned when it comes to content, it's just simply boring. You have this fantastic foundation when it comes to your combat in New World, and I love it to death. And I really, really wish they would do more with New World, but it's just too slow. The content roll-in is too slow, and it's not enough, and there's not enough PvP improvements to warrant most of your player base to stay. Because in reality, if New World had enough content for PvP, you would have more players, but that also goes for both sides. If New World had good, engaging PvE content, you would also have more players. I'm not going to get into the PvE. I'm not going to speak too much on that. You guys let me know in the comments. I don't really like PvE in this game. It all feels the same to me, and just in general, very boring in my eyes. I'm a PvP guy when it comes to these type of games, so that's what I'm going to speak on. New World has potential, or should I say New World had potential, and it executed on it very few times, but it did, and when it did execute on certain things, it did it very right. The issue with New World, it's an MMO. I think New World is not understanding the longevity is what makes MMOs MMOs. When you introduce artifacts into New World, I thought these would be these extravagant pieces of gear that only the most skilled of players could obtain, and when somebody had an artifact, it's like, wow, that guy's really good at the game. But no, artifacts feel very, very common, and this hyped up system that you wanted to introduce was simply tarnished and soiled within the first few days. Because quite honestly, I had like 8 artifacts in the first 24 hours, and I wasn't even really grinding that hard. The only one that took a long time was the Scorpion Sting, because that Scorpion is a little fucker when it comes to farming him. So you had many opportunities as developers to allow these chases, these gear chases for players to stay engaged longer, but when you make things too easy to obtain, it makes the reward less worth it, and I think that's another thing I did not like about New World. Do I think New World is dead? Right now, in my eyes, it's dead. Sure, you could say, oh, Termex, there's 10,000 people on Steam. Sure, 10,000 people doing what? Doing war, queuing OPR, the same things we've been doing for the past 2-3 years? Sure, but if you want to play a game and be engaged in the game, you need content. It's truly really that simple. Maybe New World will introduce another expansion, but what will that even lead us to? Another gear score increase, another level increase, a new zone, and then back to OPR, back to 3v3s, back to the gatekept wars by these elitist companies that feel like you don't deserve to be in these wars because you're a new player, you don't have enough hours. And that is the harsh truth. If New World ever comes to a state where I feel like they've made such a big change, I will come back. I will come back to New World, I will post about it again, but right now, I simply have no interest. My love and my passion for my YouTube channel has always been the Borderlands series. I love Borderlands. It's what I'm gonna do. I might introduce some Warframe in the near future. It's another game I really do love. And honestly, I wanted to come here and talk about how I feel New World has been treated. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Maybe you have your own very opinions in the comments down below. Feel free to let me know. I read all of them. I needed to get this off my chest and also let you guys, my community, know that right now I'm just done. I'm done with New World. I love the memories I've had with it. Probably the most fun I've ever had in gaming is on New World. It's kind of sad. It's sad seeing it in the state it is, but I don't see it being fixed. And I hope I eat my words on this, but I doubt it's going to be anytime soon. But yes, that's a video on how I think New World's downfall started and how we are here today sitting in Windsward AFK. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like on it because it does help my content and spreads my video to more people on the YouTube. If you guys only subscribe for New World, I understand. I might post it again in the future. But if you don't want to see me spamming Borderlands or Warframe in your feed, it's cool. I get it. Nothing personal if you unsubscribe. I love y'all. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.